Okay. No, I'm so happy to be here because I came in touch with your work yesterday for the first time. I'm based in Europe, and I watched the podcast with you. And then as a result, I don't want to say as a result, but I was deeply inspired of the self-love path, understanding that a lot of decisions and fear that I've been experiencing is depriving me from that nourishing, making me feel ill.
Mhm.
So I cannot tell you how much it's been impacting me, that podcast, to a
Hmm.
point that I quit my job 1 hour ago before I
Oh,
came
wow.
into this call. So it's full power. So I think what I would like to bring into my question is around guilt. I think talking about making choices that nourish us, and I hear you saying a lot about, oh, I've given enough to people. Empaths are built by that. I don't fully believe. My inner critic is always telling me, no, you haven't done enough. You are not one of those guys.
Hmm.
You're starving yourself from love, but you will be selfish if you don't do that and that. So I think
Hmm.
the guilt um, is a theme for me. And I would like to see how can I explore that and making sure that I'm honoring myself, but at the same time, I am also, nourishing those around me, and just not making selfish decisions that are disguised as nourishment for myself, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Hmm. Okay. Can you tell me your name 3 times, please?
It's um, Erica Vass, Erica Vass, Erica Vass.
Thank you. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what your soul wants to share with you. And it is a perfect way to wrap up. So you are just perfectly coming in with this.
Mm.
So what your soul wants is kind of a teaching more, and it's time for you to what you're entering into right now is a phase of understanding, and this is actually going to be very important for you in your healing. But
Mm.
it's a phase of understanding that self-love is not selfish; it is self-full. And I'm going to explain this to you. So what we've been taught is that in this message, and especially in the West, this is, and I keep saying this because this message is very dominant in the West. It is in other parts of the world as well, but it's very, very dominant in the West. In the West, we have been very inundated with conversations about to be a good person is to be a giver, to be if anything that is worthy of making impact in the world, and the right way to make impact in the world is to give, give, give. It's better to give than it is to receive. These type of things, but this is actually the antithesis of what actually makes you healthy. Because what in order to be healthy and well, you need to receive love. You need to, which is your soul's energy. You can call it life force, you can call it chi, some people call it prana. I call it love and your soul's energy. So you'll hear me call it those two different things. Sometimes I'll say life force. But you need to receive the energy of love, and you need to be full. Like if you can look at your being as a cup, and your soul's energy is water, and you receive that energy every day, and your cup has to be full. And anytime you give to someone else, anytime, even if you're giving from a place of excitement and passion, you are giving of the energy in that cup. And when you give, not from excitement, but from obligation or responsibility or fear or shame or trauma, that cup gets drastically reduced.
Mm.
And what ends up happening is the more and more that cup goes down, and when you haven't been taught how to love yourself, how to receive, which most of us haven't received love, what ends up happening is you have a pattern of always giving and not receiving. And what ends up happening is you run off of this much in your cup. And your body needs the cup to be full to be healthy. It's like gas in a car. When your car is running too low on gas, if it's too low, it'll stop and it'll start breaking down. This is the same thing with the body. It starts to break down when it's running on low. And in order to run it well again, you have to fill it up and you have to keep it full, right? Well, we've been getting so many messages, and you specifically have been getting a lot of messages around what a good person in the world is. And this is not just unique to you, but I'm speaking directly to you because you're asking the question. So you've been getting a lot of messages around what it means to be a good person in the world, and the models that you've seen growing up in your childhood until now, that the models that were placed before you about what a good person is in your family, in the world, in your environment, those people gave and gave and gave at the detriment of themselves. And this is what you've adopted, which is understandable because we will only model what we saw model, right? We're only going to become what we saw model. So what's happened for you is you've got this message into your subconscious that in order to be a good person, I have to meet other people's needs at the expense of my own. And so when you go to start meeting your needs, that message says, you're not being a good person, and you're not going to be loved, and you're not going to belong. And it's the fear that you're going to lose, right? That you're gonna lose things. This is how that's the biggest fear. You're gonna lose belonging, you're gonna lose love, you're gonna lose approval. And that fear for you is instilled because you were taught that a good person doesn't take care of themselves. They take care of other people. But that message is making you sick because you've not been getting the energy that you need to be healthy. So self-love isn't selfish, it's self-full. You're getting your energy back in your body. That's how we do it. That's how we keep the energy. And here's what happens when that cup is full. I wish I had a cup. I need to, next time I do this, I'm gonna have props. When the cup is full and you have a practice of self-love, it overflows. So you have so much that you can give from the overflow and it doesn't deplete you. You are in service, you're an impact. You're not doing it from a place of frustration or obligation or fear or trauma. You're doing it from sheer excitement and desire. And it's an overflow, and you're not drained at the end of the day. Mm. And that's the pattern you're wanting to shift into, because you've been in this pattern, which is very understandable. I want to say this one, because you did not receive a different type of model. You couldn't have seen it. So there's no way you would have learned this, right? You wouldn't have, but now it is time. Now it is your responsibility to learn how to be self-loving, how to get your needs met, how to put them first, how to nourish yourself first so that you are in overflow instead of depletion, because you've been continuing to serve from depletion, and the message in your head is saying you're doing the right thing because this is what a good person does. And I want to say this very clearly, because I really want you to hear this. I think you get it a bit, but I want to solidify it down. Being a good person, striving to be this definition of a good person based on that is going to kill you. Mm-hmm. It's going to take you out. It's going to drain you to death. Mm-hmm. The graveyard is filled with people who died because they did not come out of this definition of what a good person is. So you've got to expand your definition to a good person takes care of herself, makes sure she is well nourished, and then she nourishes others and takes care of them. Instead of a good person takes care of people and she's unmet, she's unhappy, she's unfulfilled, she's exhausted. That's another thing for you, exhaustion. She is exhausted. And that is killing you slowly, but it is. And it's because it's draining you from your bliss. You are here for bliss. Erica, you are here for bliss. That is why your soul is here. And your definitions that you got, which is not your fault. I just want to say this because I do not want you to beat yourself up. It is not your fault why you got these definitions, but they were instilled that Erica does not get to take care of herself. She must take care of other people. And that is where her fulfillment comes from. But if you're gonna be honest, because healing takes honesty, I'm not fulfilled. This doesn't fulfill me. I do like helping. I do like being of service, but I don't like over helping and over being of service and putting other people's needs first and mine going completely on that. And that's just what's been happening. So the message for you now is to really accept self-love is not selfish. It is self-full. I have to be full to make a true impact in the world. And this is one last thing I want to share with you. Because when you're not full, what ends up happening, this is a deeper kind of energy lesson. When you're not full, what ends up happening is when you show up to other people with an empty cup, you're going to eat. This happens subconsciously, but you're trying to move always to full. So what you will do is you'll try to steal their energy. That's how you become an energy vampire a bit. You try to take a bit of their energy because you're starving. You have to eat. You have to eat you have to eat love. So when you're starving of it, you try to steal it a little bit. And so when you're full, you don't have to steal it. You have it and you share it. But we've been taught the way you share it is to be starving. And that's not how any of this works. We've just been taught wrong. So you've got to be full now. Now is the time for Erica to be full and then to learn how to fill herself up with the energy of her own soul, with the energy of love, to put herself first, to nourish herself, to do what pleases her and get her needs met. And watch what kind of person you become from that space. Because then you think you're a good person. You'll see what a real good person looks like, a person who is happy and fulfilled. And then you show up and you're showing up from, I actually want to be here instead of I feel obligated to be here. I actually am helping and I'm doing what I can do instead of doing way more than what I can do. And you'll have even better impact than what you've had in the past. And you've had great impact in the past, but imagine what happens when you come with your full energy in your body. Is that clear?
Amazing. Absolutely clear. I can't wait.
If you
so much.
If you want, extra help in learning anything about that, I highly recommend looking at my program, online course, Self-Love Academy. You can find it on my website. Go to jeromebraggs.com and you hit courses.
I saw
see
that,
it there. You can take it at your own pace. There's also a community of people that are in there, so you can get help. You can get people who are going through some of the same things and talk with them about how did you make it through? How did you work through this? How did you do that? As a matter of fact, one of the first people on this call today was a member, and she had to step out. So I would say talk to her, but she had to step out. But if you want to explore that in your journey and learning this, you can do it at your own pace. and you always will have access to it for the rest of your life. So I would highly recommend looking into that if you want.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Much, 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 much love.